Muses of Mythology is a spoiler-heavy podcast.
That's an understatement.
We're going to discuss not just the events of this book, but the Rhineverse as a whole, and really anything that we feel is relevant. You can find full spoiler warnings in the show notes. But my guy... Father!
Hey, Dad.
Hey, ask him if we can tell the story about Grandpa Whitey.
Can we tell the story about how we weren't Vikings, we were fucking Welsh?
Can we tell the story?
Yeah, we did.
Can we tell the story how we're not Welsh, we're Korean? Yeah. Did he say it was okay?
Yep. Yeah,
Thank
we
you,
are.
Dad. Welcome to Muses of Mythology, a podcast where we explore how ancient myths become part of modern pop culture through the lens of Rick Riordan's Magnus Chase and the Gods of Asgard. This is Story 78, The Sword of Summer. I'm your co-host and podcasting muse, Darien Smart. Joining me is my co-host and brother, DJ.
How's everybody do today? I am one of the Norn today. We are having a good time here.
What?
It's a blast.
What are you doing? What did you just do?
I'm the Norn now, Darien. I control fate.
That makes me deeply uncomfortable. I gotta muse around in the garden for a minute. Do we even call it that anymore? We're back. It's a new month, which means it's time for our monthly Patreon donation. Every month, we donate $1 for every patron we have over on Patreon to some organization working to create a net good in the world. This month, we will be donating to the Palestine Children's Relief Fund. If you need us to elaborate on why we've picked this organization, where have you been? We currently have 10 patrons over on Patreon, and we thank them so much for making this donation possible. This year, we want to have all of our listeners help us make an impact with these donations, not just our Patreon supporters, which means if you have an organization that's near and dear to your heart, we'd love to hear about it. Send us an email to musesofmythology@gmail.com letting us know what this organization is doing and how we can support them. Thank you all so much for listening, and now, back to the show. DJ, we're back!
We are back.
Hi,
After
everybody!
a 2-month hiatus, we are back, everyone.
I mean, it's only 2 months if you didn't tune into Muse Miss.
Muse Miss. I hope you guys tuned in.
I can't believe you all. If
You
missed
better
out on this,
believe
wow.
there's going to be another one here in 11 months. Muse Miss 2024. Do not miss it. We're very excited for it.
Some people would promote the thing that they could listen to right now. DJ likes to look ahead because he's one of the Norn.
I'm one of the Norn, baby. Let's go.
So not only are we back from hiatus,
Yep.
we are leaving Greek mythology behind.
That we are. I'm actually pretty excited to do that.
Mm-hmm.
After 4 years, a little burnt.
I got a
on
little burnt out.
Greek
Yeah, I'm doing
mythology.
yeah. Three full years of covering. Yep.
In 3 to 4 years, just
And
it's a lot of fun. We learned a lot. It was an
Mhm.
absolute blast. Do not get me wrong.
No, I still love it. I mean, I think we're picking the perfect time to talk about a different Rhineverse book. What with Percy Jackson being the biggest show Disney Plus has ever seen.
know,
Like, this is definitely a great time for
Well, what are we gonna do?
SEO.
Gonna go start watching or reading through a Percy Jackson Lightning Thief again? No.
No, this is the perfect timing for us to branch out. And so I've got here, DJ, this copy, my copy of Gods of Asgard, The
Isn't
Sword
it
of Summer,
signed?
is actually a signed edition.
Yeah. I
It
think I
was
read
a
that one.
pre-order. Yeah, it's a pre-order one that was signed. So,
Heck yeah.
hey, DJ,
What's up?
what point in time do we tell the story about our family history with Vikings? Like right now?
Here's the rundown, y'all.
Mhm.
So our grandfather,
Paternal grandfather
paternal grandfather, he
was big into his Norse Viking heritage.
Yes.
This is the first important thing. He had a security company.
called Viking Services. He
had a-
ran it on Hawaii.
His bike. He was part of a motorcycle gang on the Big Island of Hawaii
Yep.
in like the 70s and 80s and 90s. Just big old Viking aesthetics, yellow and blue. His bike helmet had horns on it, which yes, we know actual Viking helmets didn't have the horns. Does not matter.
They still look cool.
This will look cool. This is an important detail, I think. Our dad met his father, our grandpa, when he was like in his 20s.
21.
21 exactly.
Yep.
Met him in his 20s.
20 or
21.
21, somewhere around there.
You don't need so many details about the convoluted our dad's family history, but you'll probably glean a little bit of it as we continue telling you this story.
Yes.
Vikings.
Vikings. Yeah.
Big deal. He's got a ton of Viking stuff too. Ton of Viking memorabilia in Grandpa's house.
He loved Vikings. He always loved them. He kind of passed that on to our father, just a touch, on his deathbed.
Literally deathbed. I was 14.
Yeah, on his deathbed, he was dying. Dad
in a hospital.
Flew out to the Hawaii, to the Big Island to visit him, and he's like, Duffy.
That was Dad's nickname.
Dad's nickname was Duffy because he couldn't pronounce Jeffrey. I found that out.
Is that what?
That's why he could only say Duffy, and so that's why it's. And I asked him, I was like, "Why?" Yeah. And he's like, "Duffy, lean in closer." What is it, Dad? I gotta tell you something.
Which is not a thing you ever want to hear someone tell you when they are very visibly on their deathbed.
Yeah.
Like you never want to hear those words.
It's like, what is it, Dad? Anything? What is it? We're not Vikings. What? We're not fucking Vikings.
Dad, you always told us we're Vikings. You mean what? Well, if we're not Vikings, what are we?
We're fucking Welsh. we're Welsh. We're fucking Welsh, Duffy. And that's how we found out we weren't. I mean, turns out we're not even Welsh.
We're not even Welsh. Found out Dad did
Crazy.
23andMe. Turns out Grandma lied again.
Dad knew that Grandma lied much before that.
Yeah. But now we got some fucking evidence.
Now we got proof. We're actually Korean. Fun.
And Portuguese.
Yeah. It's an absolute blast.
So anyway, that's the fun little story we have about
Vikings.
Vikings, but not even. Yeah, even
Vikings, but not.
Vikings, but actually not, and not even Welsh.
Yeah.
Not.
Super funny.
But
Super
you know what else is super funny?
Huh.
This book.
The book is great.
God, this book is so funny. Oh my goodness me.
Also, listeners, again, keep in mind, I listened to it. Dude, I do not like
That's right. You
first
don't like
two narrators of these books.
Mm-hmm.
There are 3 different narrators, one for each book, because I guess they just couldn't nail down a good one.
I don't know
until the last one.
The
The last one's fucking awesome.
Man, if we only have that guy go back and redo
I would
them all.
love that. That would be great. But yeah, the narrator was kind of
Is it just not bringing it?
Yeah. He's bringing it, and then some choices he made for voices. I'm like, no. I'm sorry. Half-born Gunderson doesn't have a dopey big giant voice like this. No, he's a fucking Viking.
No, he's doing some stereotypical cartoon Scandinavians there.
Yeah.
And my man has a deep fucking voice.
No,
He
that
sounds
guy's got a
two
fucking
rocks getting crushed together.
Yeah, he's supposed to be like the fucking Viking. Yarg, fucking.
Yeah, he's a berserker.
Yeah.
He's a berserker.
He's supposed to be like that. Not. I don't know the voice that he chose. I didn't like it.
Let's go.
Not X's
in the
voice.
Alps.
X has that voice.
Yeah, but maybe that was you had too many too similar, couldn't do them both. I don't know. So this starts off. Gotta say, love that we. Okay, so this is interesting because this book takes place after the Heroes of Olympus books.
Yes.
Both in obviously timeline wise, but also when they came out, the Heroes of Olympus books, Blood of Olympus had come out before this one. So, and we aren't covering in that order, but I did just kind of want to acknowledge from a reader experience, really fun to go back to first person. I definitely feel like that
really
is Rick
nice
Riordan's,
to go back to first person.
Rick Riordan's very strong when he is in first person.
He had 2 series in third person, and I haven't read Kane.
It's on Audible now.
Yeah, it is.
We'll get to it
I
eventually.
gotta sit down and do it. But
Kane
he's just so much better at writing in first
Yeah.
person.
And also simultaneously, the fun chapter titles are back.
Mm-hmm.
Look, Good Morning, You're Going to Die.
Yep.
All of them. So good. And we start with this book, which is very reminiscent of I Didn't Want to Be a Half-Blood, though nowhere near as iconic.
No.
Yeah, I know. You guys are going to read about how I died in agony, and you're going to be like, wow, that sounds cool, Magnus. Can I die in agony too? No, just no. Don't go jumping off any rooftops. Don't run into the highway or set yourself on fire. It doesn't work that way. You will not end up where I ended. And it feels like a little bit of a...
Tongue-in-cheek?
Not just tongue-in-cheek. I Didn't Want to Be a Half-Blood is very tongue-in-cheek.
Yeah.
A little bit of a... I'm not saying it's a publisher's note, but feels a little bit of let's cover our bases and tell the kids not to take their own lives when they read a book about this boy who dies and goes on magical adventures.
I think even in outside of that, they set up the groundwork where it's you don't. It's not just you die. You die in combat with a weapon in your hand.
Yeah. And it kind of, the next paragraph is like, you won't want to deal with my situation unless you've got some crazy desire to see undead warriors hacking one each other to pieces, swords flying up to giants' noses, and dark elves in snappy outfits. You shouldn't even think about finding the wolf-headed doors.
No, that sounds dope as fuck, though.
Yeah.
That sounds super cool.
that paragraph there reads more, I didn't want to be a half-blood to me. And then I do like this one. My name is Magnus Chase. I'm 16 years old. This is the story of how my life went downhill after I got myself killed. Like, I feel like that's my opening line. That's great.
That's a lot of fun.
But yeah, it does feel like the first two paragraphs feel just a little bit like, please tell the kids not to try to kill themselves, okay, Rick?
Yeah.
Just a little bit.
So we open up a Magnus Chase.
So Magnus is fucking 16 years old, unhoused teenager. It's rough. Rick does not shy away from this being rough and a reality.
Yeah.
And Magnus is he's got
used to it?
I'm not just so used to it. He's so, like, the thing he says on the street is like, oh, some of you might think how sad. But if you saw me in the street, 99% of you would walk past like I'm invisible.
Yeah.
Pray, don't let him ask me for money. You'd wonder if I'm older than I look. Because surely a teenager wouldn't be wrapped in a stinky old sleeping bag stuck outside in the middle of a Boston winter. Somebody should have helped that poor boy. Then you'd keep walking. And it's like, ouch. Yeah. That brutality of like, that honest imperfection of like calling out. Yeah. It sucks. But it's reality. And I appreciate Rick Riordan. Hey, I forgot something real quick. Do you know who this book is dedicated to?
No.
To Cassandra Clare.
Oh, yeah.
Thanks for letting me share the excellent name, Magnus. It's going to come back around. I really like Magnus as a protagonist.
I just like his first person stuff so much more than I like his third person stuff.
Also that.
Point blank.
Also
like,
that.
Percy, Magnus, and Apollo are all just better protags than the other 7.
Yeah.
Like, as much as I love Leo, Frank, and Jason, right? Hazel, Piper, all of them wonderful. Raina for that split period, Nico, all of them super great, super wonderful, amazing characters. I like those others more.
Well, let's talk about how those 3 you named are also like very similar in their humor.
Well, yeah.
They're not, I would say they're not the same character. They're not similar characters. I do think the way they each respond and think about things is very uniquely different.
Yes. But they're all very snarky.
But part of the appeal of being in their head is hearing their snarky observations about the world around them. Oh God, I don't how do we want to, should I read the synopsis?
I think we did that in the past.
Yeah, okay. I know, I'm going all over the place. Sorry, gang, it's been a hot sec. We're back.
Yeah.
Magnus Chase has seen his share of trouble. Ever since that terrible night 2 years ago when his mother told him to run, he's lived alone on the streets of Boston, surviving by his wits, staying one step ahead of the police and truant officers. One day, Magnus learns that someone else is trying to track him down. His uncle Randolph, a man his mother had always warned him about. When Magnus tries to outmaneuver his uncle, he falls right into his clutches. Randolph starts rambling about Norse history and Magnus's birthright, a weapon that has been lost for 1,000 years. The more Randolph talks, the more the puzzle pieces fall into place. Stories about the gods of Asgard, wolves, and doomsday bubble up from Magnus's memory. But he doesn't have time to consider all of it before a fire giant attacks the city, forcing him to choose between his own safety and the lives of hundreds of innocents. Sometimes, the only way to start a new life is to die. Yeah?
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's about
the first 3 chapters.
Give or take.
And we missed a little bit. It's not really... Randolph is looking for him, but that's not who he hears is looking for him.
No.
It's Annabeth.
It's Annabeth. Because Annabeth's his cousin.
Oh, we got to be on that Seaweed Brain episode where they covered that chapter where Annabeth mentions that she has family in Boston.
Mm-hmm.
And it was a delight to be the one to draw attention to Carter and Eric. It's like, did you see that? No, but did you see it? Do you know who's in Boston?
Magnus Chase.
Magnus Chase. And so I love
setup. Big fan of setup.
I think the setup in this one is so strong. I
just mean like in other series too, like Annabeth saying she's got family in Boston.
you like
I like
foreshadowing.
Setup.
You like
I love,
sprinkling.
Yeah,
you like the
nice.
hooks.
Big
I love
fan.
The hooks. Yeah.
Big fan. Oh, we got in Blood of Olympus. Oh shit, we got what is his name? Python. He's fucking with the Oracle of Delphi. Guess what the next series is? Trials of Apollo.
And Tower
He's
of
gonna
Nero
deal with
has
it.
like fucking 8 of them.
So many sprinkled in Tower of Nero. We got Sun and the Stars sprinkled in there, and then like others that we don't even know.
Yeah. whatever Chiron was doing with the cat and the head.
Yeah, right? Very excited for that to play out.
Eventually. But for the moment, let's just talk about this one where the head is at.
Yeah.
So we meet Magnus. And the way he finds out that someone's looking for him is another homeless person who he's friends with named Blitzen, who's looking out for him. And then Blitzen's got a buddy named Hearth. And they both look out they're like older in their 20s, and they both look out for Magnus.
Yeah.
He's like, okay. Then when he goes and checks it out, he sees, hey, I don't know that man. I think I know that girl, though.
She looks vaguely familiar.
And it's his cousin Annabeth.
Yeah.
And Uncle Frederick. And Annabeth is so mad. She is so mad.
She's very angry.
And I love Magnus being like, oh, God, is she mad at me? I don't want to stay. No, but she's mad at Uncle Randolph for not telling them for several years that
2 years.
Yeah, 2 years. That one, Magnus's mom is dead, and two, Magnus has been missing the whole time.
Yeah.
And yeah, rightfully pissed. Like, this is shady as hell.
Granted, Annabeth had a lot going on in those last 2 years.
Annabeth had a lot going in the last 2 years.
For Annabeth, it was
all of
the last
Olympus.
Last Olympus. Last Olympian, the 6 to 8 months that Percy was missing, and then all of Heroes of Olympus.
Yeah. So she did, but you know what? She was also in contact with her family.
Yes.
She was on good terms and regularly speaking to her mortal family. Yep. So and Randolph didn't know she had stuff going on. It's not like he was out here being like,
Randolph definitely should have said something.
No, Randolph is just
sneaky. Sneaky large man.
Yeah, he's a sneaky large.
He's very much. Here's the thing, and before the second listen through, I'm like, yeah, Randolph, this old dude, Ebenezer-esque, and then listening to this description, this dude's a Viking. Mm-hmm. This man's a Viking.
They picture an because we know Frederick, Annabeth's dad, and he's described as your traditional small dude academic type.
Yeah.
Right. Goddess Athena was interested in this dude, all brains. And we get Frederick. And so obviously we're thinking Randolph. No, you're right. Randolph's
big. He's big, muscular. His stature is overbearing. He does have a cane because he's injured. Mm-hmm. And that the cane is the misleading part.
More intimidating.
Yeah, the cane is actually the misleading part. And I'm like, I was focusing too much on the cane.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. It is.
Actually, my mind's eye, Randolph was a lot like Rumpelstiltskin in Once Upon a Time.
Oh, yeah.
That was Randolph in my mind.
You know what? Yeah. Actually,
and
now that you say that,
listening to this, I'm like, this dude's got a big ass stature, dude.
Yeah. No, not you're totally. Yeah. No. Oh, no. So, I love the flashback we get of Magnus remembering the last time he saw Annabeth.
Yeah.
And she's 6 or 7 years old. He's 5?
Something like that.
Yeah, because he's 16 in this. Annabeth is 17? 18?
17. 17, because she's going into her senior year.
Yeah, you're right. Because Trials of Apollo hasn't started yet. Okay.
And Trials of Apollo takes place in the second semester of senior year.
Yes, it starts in the second semester and it ends right after summer. Yeah.
Yeah, June, July, I don't know.
We can't get into this right now.
Or August, because
the thing about we talked about the timeline stuff. I don't care that the characters don't age in the same progression that the real world time passes. Sometimes it does feel like Rick Riordan is kind of playing album ball with the timeline in his own text, because Percy's school years don't make sense. No, they don't. And that's fine. We move past it. It doesn't matter. If I never want to be in a classroom with Percy ever again. I never care about what's going on when I'm in a classroom. It's only there to be interrupted by some shenanigan.
Yeah, it's only
not what this episode is about.
Not at all.
But I love the flashback. It's Christmas time. They can hear the parents, the 3 siblings. Magnus's mom. What is Magnus's mother's name? Natalie. Yeah, Frederick, Natalie, and Randolph, and they are having a nasty fight downstairs, and the kids are playing with dominoes upstairs.
Oh, the art for Natalie Chase is very pretty.
Oh, yeah. Very good. Yeah, they are having a nasty fight downstairs, and the kids can hear it. And Annabeth is telling little Magnus. I love the note about... Because Magnus doesn't know. He doesn't know. Annabeth's deal. He has no idea.
No.
But he talks about how like they're just playing, they're like using dominoes as building blocks, and she has made like the most intricate creations.
Roman Colosseum ass looking
he's
thing.
like, what the? He's over here with his little like stack.
Stonehenge looking thing.
Stonehenge thing, and she's got the Roman Colosseum. And she talks about like, you're really lucky you get to live with your mom. I think I'm gonna run away. And he's like, I knew she meant it because. Yeah. And so that's where we're at in the timeline. Annabeth is about to run away. She'll be found by Luke and Talia. She'll end up at Camp Half-Blood, and that's it. And Magnus just goes home with his mom and is fine until he's 14 years old.
Yeah.
At which point in time, as we'll find out later, there's no need to go to like the order that the book reveals it.
Sons of Fenrir attack and murder her.
Fucking house is attacked by wolves.
Yeah. House is attacked by wolves. They kill Natalie, and now
she's like, you go out through the fire escape, run, I will catch up with you, I will hold them off, I'll distract them. And she never shows up.
No.
Because she's dead.
Yes.
And the police are all kind of looking for Magnus as a person of interest in this mysterious fire and the death of his mother.
Yeah.
Which extra fucking sucks, right? like all of our like demigod kids, all of our characters who have like lost loved ones, lost mortal family members due to like the supernatural world. That trauma sucks.
Yeah.
None of them are really usually blamed for it.
Percy was almost. He managed to get off because Ares showed up and was seen with the kids, and they're like, "Yeah, it was that guy. That guy kidnapped us and did crazy things." So like,
oh my gosh, of course, especially when Sally shows back up and everything's fine. But but damn, like that's so
super rough,
brutal. And one thing that Natalie told him is to never trust Randolph.
Yeah.
I don't know why Frederick was on that list too. He didn't seem to be spoken by name. But also, how was he supposed to? They were in California.
Yeah.
Right? Or they were in Virginia. But they had
at
moved
the time,
to California.
and then they moved to California after. No. Right as, I guess, Annabeth was running. After Annabeth ran away?
No. They were still in Virginia. They're in California in Titan's Curse. Annabeth mentions how her dad's talking about moving, and they know it's not safe for demigods there.
Yeah. Turns out it was actually a lot safer than one might actually think.
Yeah.
Anyway.
Yeah. Actually.
We'll get to that later.
Only for certain demigods.
Yeah.
But I don't blame. I don't think we can be like, Magnus, why didn't you contact?
No,
because like also like, how was he supposed to? Like, if something broke bad and we had no one else.
He uses a phone. A bunch of monsters show up. Like, this is an established rule in this world.
But I think it's only a rule for the Greeks.
That's ridiculous.
I think it's only a rule for Greeks because the reason that monsters go after, well, I don't know the technology. They can smell demigods, and it's because a child of Hecate did that. So, but I like, honestly, it's like, everything's destroyed. It's not like he has Uncle Frederick's number. How was he supposed to call anyone? So don't trust Uncle Randolph. We're never clear why, but don't trust Uncle Randolph.
Yeah.
Becomes clear why pretty quickly when Magnus decides, okay, there's some stuff going on. I'm going to break into Uncle Randolph's place and snoop around a little bit.
Yep. Uncle Randolph finds him at his place and is like, oh, perfect. We need to go.
It's like, oh, weird things are happening. He says a lot of cryptic stuff, mentions the Norse gods, but Magnus also finds the dominoes he and Annabeth had played with, and he realizes they're rune stones.
Yeah.
And in his childhood memories, just turned them into dominoes. But he pockets one of them, and he's like, oh, shit, okay, let's go. And I love how many times while they're driving there, they're like in the car, and Magnus is like, oh, really? Yeah, the gods? You can just drop me off right here.
Yeah, hey man, that's crazy.
He's just
let me get out.
rattling the door. It's been child locked.
Please, let me out.
I think
Maybe?
I'll just, you know what, this
Get
is actually
out?
my stop. I'll just see you at Christmas. Like, he's just like,
It's good catching up with you, Randolph.
Yeah,
like,
this is super fun. I never want to see you again.
I love these talks.
I love our time together. Hey, do you know why my mom told me not to trust you? No, I'm going to get out of the car now.
Yeah.
I just like Magnus. He's funny the whole time, just trying to get out of the car, and nope. And Randolph doesn't let him out. But so so what I like about that is the more Randolph says, and there's like Magnus, the way Rick Riordan described it, is like something in his brain is like clicking. Like the things he says are
making
unhinged,
sense, but
they're making sense. Like they are. there's like it's like something is.
He doesn't want them to, but he's like, these are like something's real here.
Yeah, he's like everything. He's like on logical, like not just baseline how he understands the world. Uncle Randolph is not connected to reality. This is nonsense. I can't put stock into this. I gotta go. But there's some other part of his brain that's like, check. Yeah, totally. No, we knew all this. Absolutely. And he's like, what is that?
Yeah.
And I like that because it doesn't. It means that we are not spending too much time waiting for Magnus to get on board with what we know the plot is.
Well, Magnus gets on board really quick because he goes to the bridge that Randolph drives him to. I don't remember which bridge.
Oh, it's in Boston. Did we mention it's in Boston? It's in Boston.
It's in Boston. We're on Boston now. And Randolph has said that the Vikings actually went as far south as Boston, which is why there's a sword here. And
that's why he got laughed out of Harvard.
Yeah,
He's convinced. This is a popular fringe theory, actually. So it's not.
I believe it.
Yeah, that the idea that we know the Norse explorers did in fact make it to Canada. Like, we have settlements. That's fact. Some believe that they made it as far south as what we would consider like the United States. There is not archaeological evidence to support that claim, the same way there is that we know they hit Canada. But I'm over here like, sure, why not? Let's celebrate Leif Erikson Day.
Maybe they could have went down there and like looked around. It was like, there's nothing here for us, and they just left.
Yeah. American gods. I don't care. But it's interesting. But this isn't just a... Randolph believed this so wholeheartedly that he like lost his whole career and academic standing over. This wasn't just someone being like, I have a pet theory and I actually think it's interesting. It's like whatever he did to present this just got him kicked the fuck out. I think maybe he started talking about the gods.
Yeah, probably.
I know it was the sword. I bet it was the sword.
It's like, it's here. It's here somewhere. We need to find it. So he brings him to the bridge, and Magnus pulls it out of the water. He pulls it just...
Like that scene from Star Wars Episode 9. Wait. Star Wars Episode 7. Just force pulls it out of the water. Kylo Ren and Rey are...
Ah, okay, yeah. I was, for me, I'm like, yeah, in Episode 5, when Luke is hanging upside down, he's fucking trying to reach for his lightsaber.
yeah.
Pulls it there, because it's, for me, I'm relating the ice thing more than the water thing.
I didn't consider the ice thing. Yeah. I was just relating summoning thing with
that's fair.
Yeah, he pulls it. It's also cool.
It's also been a while since I've watched the sequels. So.
But it's also cool. It's like it's the middle of winter, so the river's like frozen over. But when he reaches down, it's like a warmth.
Yeah.
And a patch of the river melts.
In the shape of his hand.
And I think that's such interesting foreshadowing into Magnus specifically and his whole deal.
Yeah.
I love Magnus as a character, as a protagonist, as introducing new versions of the, like, undermining this traditional hero archetype.
Magnus should do more magic. Outright. Magnus should do more magic. Like, just straight up, 100%. Like, yeah, he can heal. But he's also, spoiler alert, everybody, he's the son of Frey. The god of summer.
Yeah, god of summer.
And
he's just got like chill dude vibes.
Yeah, and I just want him to do more magic. And he doesn't do any more magic aside from the healing bits that he does.
He does the piece of Frey.
Right, yeah.
Which is very cool. And he consecrates some grounds.
And so it's like, yeah, great. Do more.
But I feel like we're back in the Annabeth thing, where it's like, why don't you do more demigod superpowers? And it's like, what more is there?
What more is there? But like, this is summer.
Listen, don't talk to me.
I'm sure
don't talk to a fairy girl about summer, okay?
I'm sure if we look up what Frey does, there's a lot more than healing. The
peace.
Frey piece.
Well, he's also a fertility god. Ground. What do you want him to do with that, DJ?
I don't know. Consecrate some births, dude. Let's get it. Let's run it, okay?
I love that the sword is junk. It's been in
the river for fucking thousands of years.
It's corroded and absolute garbage. The fight scene is
rough.
So rough. So scary. Blitz and Hearth have shown back up, equipped with toys from a toy store. They have no weapons, so they are trying their best.
This is a book equivalent of a scripted loss.
Yeah, this is your scripted video game loss. Yeah. You had to lose to proceed. It's such a bummer. It's so but God, it sets up. I all of it, the point up to Magnus, like, oh, I like this. Like, he's fun. He's interesting. The story's interesting. But that fight on the bridge with Surt, the fire giant, because that's who's after him. Surt talks about how the sword is mine. Give it to me. It's destined to be mine anyway. Yep. We're in Norse mythology territory, which means we're dealing with Ragnarok now, everything
is laid out. They're
everything is laid out.
Yeah, sure. We had the fates who would be able to see everything, but nobody knew everything. Mm-hmm. They would get cryptic prophecies that they would try to avoid or whatever. Everything is laid out for the Norse mythology, and everybody looks forward to it for the most part. I think there are some people kind of mixed bag about it, but for the most part, it seemed like, at the very least here in this book, most gods are looking forward to Ragnarok.
Yeah, they just...
Even if they die, they're like, it's a fucking great-ass battle, dude. Let's run it!
Yeah, it's like Book of Revelations, but everyone has their own personal script of what's going to happen to them personally. Yeah. And a lot of them die. Almost no one makes it out of Ragnarok alive. No. And makes it... Because after... Well, hold on, pinning that. We'll circle back. but so it's like, it's mine. And I'm just like, I don't know what's going on, but there's people in their cars that are burning alive. There's a lady with a baby and a toddler in a stroller that my buddy Hearth is trying to help. And I can't run. I can't run. And he's like, no. He tells Hearth, who is deaf and communicates through sign language. And I thought that was a really interesting character choice for a lot of reasons. But also, there aren't a lot of deaf characters running around in kids' middle grade fiction, unless the book is specifically about that, especially in 2015 . So and I also just like Hearthstone.
Hearthstone's a fucking great
favorite character. He's so sad, but he comes. Oh, I love the end of the book where he's just a fucking Lord of the Rings elf. Yeah, yeah, fuck yeah. But then Magnus is just like, I'm not gonna run. And he also knows, he's like, I'm not gonna get out of this, but I can't run. I have to do what I can to save. And he does. He manages to pull Sir off the river.
Yeah, or off the bridge into the river.
Frozen river. I mean, this is after he's taken a big cannonball-sized thing of molten asphalt to his stomach.
Yep.
And we get
just burning all the insides. The organs are burning and melting.
Yeah, very brutal description of the death.
Yeah.
But he gets him into the river and dies, but he saves everyone on that bridge.
He is also pulled from his body, the soul, by Valkyrie Samira, who we love.
Love Samira.
Yep. Brought to Valhalla, where he becomes an Enherji.
I'm so glad that DJ
knows how to pronounce these words.
That DJ is one who audiobooks. Because you thought it was fun hearing me ask him how to pronounce the Greek.
And her jar?
Enherji. Sure. And and basically it's Hotel Valhalla. It's
Enherji singular, Enherjar plural, if I remember correctly.
Thank you, DJ. You're the best. Yep. I love Rick Riordan doing his Rick Riordan thing where he takes, here's a mythic concept, let's
modernize it just
70% goofy. Yep. And so that's how we get the
Hotel Valhalla.
Where it's a hotel. It's a hotel with
800 floors.
Thank you.
843 floors that can hold up to 800 people per floor.
Very neurospicy energy you're giving me.
That's what it says. That's what the book says.
Those are very specific numbers you're remembering. And I like that it's a hotel because it so doubles down on the temporary nature. This is not.
It's not supposed to be permanent.
It's not permanent.
Everybody
it's not the
here
Fields of Asphodel. It's not the Isles of the Blessed. It's not Elysium for heroes, right? It's not. Yeah. This is not where you will be forever.
It's kind of Elysium for these heroes.
Kind of, but Elysium is they get to have homes and villas and places.
Elysium is a permanent. This is Elysium for these guys, but it's Elysium because they also know it's temporary, and that's great.
Yeah, the fact that it's a hotel is, I think, the most interesting part. When
it's got a bunch of amenities with yoga to the death.
But it's not an apartment.
No,
and it's not even here, we live at the Tipton Hotel, but we live here. We will be here. No, it's a hotel. Yeah. You are renting this room.
You're checked in.
And you've checked in, and one day you will check out, and you will never come back.
Yep.
And what happens to the area after that, no one knows. That's not something that's said.
Yeah, but, as far as I'm aware, what's planned out is to Ragnarok.
Yeah. And then a little bit, we'll get to that. Yeah. Circle back. When? Who knows?
A couple years from now, I don't know.
You know who else I love? All of Magnus's floor mates.
All of Magnus's floor mates are great.
Their introductions are incredible. We've got TJ, Thomas Jefferson Jr., a black kid who died fighting for the Union in the Civil War.
Very good.
And
Son of Tyr.
Son of Tyr, a war god?
Yeah, war god, god of law.
Yeah. And he's just so friendly. So like, hi, nice to meet you. Welcome.
How's it going? Thomas Jefferson Jr., how you doing?
TJ for short. There's Mallory Keene. She died.
She's the brave princess.
She is Merida, but Irish. That's important. She's not Scottish. She's Irish. She died during the Troubles.
She died doing like a car bomb? Getting people off a bus?
We'll circle back to everyone's backstories. It's like they come up, maybe like get a little bit of flavor right now, and then we'll kind of forget about these people for a couple of books.
It'll be fine. Don't worry.
And then there is Halfborn Gunderson.
Halfborn Gunderson, we already talked about just a little. Who is great.
Just when you want to say legit Viking.
Yeah, he's from that era.
He's from that era. He's a berserker.
But he knows 18 languages.
He's got like 6 doctorates.
Yeah, because he's been here for like 1,500 years.
Because when you are in, it's like it's the afterlife.
I don't even think he's not even like a demigod. He's just a berserker.
He's just a berserker. He's just a guy. He's a guy who did a thing, and the Valkyrie's like, yeah, you're cool. Come with us.
Yeah.
I would be interested to hear Halfborn talk about what Valhalla looked like when he rolled up.
Oh, that'd be great.
Because we know it wasn't always a hotel. I guess we don't know it wasn't always a hotel.
No, we know it wasn't always a hotel.
But we can assume it wasn't always a hotel.
Yeah. I think at the end of the book with Odin, I think we kind of understand.
I was going to say Odin's thing.
We kind of understand it wasn't always this way.
Yeah, I was going to say, unlike the Greek gods, who only kind of slightly changed to fit the aesthetic of this thing.
Yeah.
These gods
Odin is looking for ways to improve his society.
He's made some big shifts on how things are
I got a keynote ready to talk. You guys better be there.
And then there is X. He is a troll.
He's a half troll.
He's a half troll.
Half troll.
You know, I forget that because Halfborn is Halfborn Gunderson, but he's not half anything. He's a guy.
No, yeah. The reason he's called Halfborn is because when he was born, his mother's like, looks like he was half born, half chiseled out of stone.
Yeah.
So that's why he's half-born.
Yeah. X is a half troll, and he pronounces his name, and it is phonetically impossible to replicate.
Cannot pronounce it with your tongue.
And there's no written language.
Probably need a couple more vocal cords, a little more tongues, maybe another mouth.
So he just goes by X.
Yeah.
And so Samira, the Valkyrie who got, I almost said Percy. Wow. Magnus is the same Valkyrie who picked X.
Yes.
And she's gotten a lot of flack for that.
Ridiculous.
Other reasons this girl gets flack? Well, she's a child of Loki.
Yeah, that she is.
Other reasons this girl gets flack? Well, she's a Muslim girl.
I don't think she gets flack because she's Muslim from these people.
I think she does.
I didn't read that at all.
I think it's supposed to be like we never get a moment where it's explicit. But
I only ever read it as, oh yeah, she's a child of Loki. Nobody trusts children of Loki.
I think it's
because Alex gets it in the next book too.
Yeah, Alex gets it in the next book, but I think the thing about it is like Alex gets it because child of Loki, but for Sam, it's like Odin picked her personally.
Yeah, that's probably also another reason that like people are jealous of that.
No, Odin picks all the Valkyries.
Okay.
Yeah. So, but it's like that's not. I think it is one hand. It's because child of Loki, but I think it's supposed to be a layered thing,
maybe
where she has all of these things, and it's like maybe if she was someone that in the other Valkyrie, because Sam is like fucking Kim Possible. Well, not Kim Possible is a bad example because I'm not a bad example because she has like I have to go to school.
Yeah, but her family knows. Kim Possible's family knows.
So we got like a Danny Phantom, Juniper Lee, totally spies.
Yeah.
Like her life is in a different genre than Magnus's.
Yeah, she's living like a slice of life, but also is a Valkyrie.
Yeah, sure. She is early 2000s animated teen hero life.
Yeah.
And so she's got to also, so it's like, I feel like you can't say that she's obviously not the only Valkyrie who's like that, who must have these dual lives. So I think the idea is like you have the Valkyries who don't like her because like they don't trust her because of the Loki thing, but they would also be coming with their own prejudice towards her being like a brown Muslim girl.
Yeah.
So she's dealing with a lot of stuff all around, to the point where she is being actively sabotaged by her captain.
Dude. Yeah.
So we have Valkyrie vision, because they
need body cams.
They have body cams, and it's like, okay, yeah, great. I fully support everyone being held accountable for all the things. Except this was just a thing that what was her name? The Valkyrie, the captain?
Oh, God. Started with a G. Gunhilda.
Gunhilda. And Gunhilda's been there for a while. She is like half-born. Been here for a while. Daughter of Thor. Been here for a while.
Yeah.
And she's... Originally, the Valkyries are supposed to sing the like this oral storytelling tradition of like, here's the heroic feats of the hero the reason I picked them.
Yeah.
And there is criteria. You don't just die. You have to die heroically with a weapon in your hands.
Yes.
And that's important.
Yeah, you gotta die in battle, heroically saving lives with a weapon in your hands. Like the 3.
Yeah. And so we get one guy who was on a boat, and the boat was sinking in a storm, and he uses a fire hydrant to bust open a door that was sealed to get everyone else hacked out, and he drowns. They decide that the fire hydrant can totally count, and that nature is scary. You battle against nature.
You battle against nature. Great.
There's another young woman who some warlords showed up, and their soldiers attacked the school she was in, and she was able to distract some of them and helped the other students escape. And then when they realized what was going on, she tried to grab the gun and got shot and died. But that counted. And not all of them are children of the Norse gods. A lot of them are, but that's not a criteria.
It's not a criteria to be a child. I think you have to have some kind of connection to Nordic.
I feel like it, but I'm not
be involved
sure.
in Valhalla.
Because I think Magnus mentions that one of them
because
doesn't.
If it's not, then like, what the fuck is the point?
That's what's really interesting.
I think for me to make this all make sense, you have to have some, like, the teacher could have been teaching Norse mythology that fucking day, which is why they were looking at them, right? That's why they chose. Or like they mildly believed in it, or like somehow studied it, or like
they have to have some connection.
Some connection like, to the Norse mythology. Because if not, then like why there, because then there's like Helheim, which is where souls typically go. Why wouldn't the people who have no connection, who goes to Helheim, who goes to that underworld, who goes to...
Yeah, who goes to Helheim, who goes to Asphodel, who goes to the Egyptian afterlife. Yeah. Go check out the episode of Through the Mist that I was on like 2 years ago now. I think my theory is exactly yours, DJ, where like,
they have to have a type of connection. Because then it's like...
If they have criteria, you have to meet it, and then you have to have some kind of connection.
Yeah.
Because there's one guy in the Kane Chronicles books where we see him going through the process, and they're like... He's an investment bank. He's a modern investment. What is he doing here? And they're like, maybe he read about Egyptian mythology and it really stuck with him.
Yeah, you have to have some amount of connection to it. Because then it's also like, what about the Christians, right? Like, come on.
We don't touch that. Because then there's that priest who is a priest, but he's a priest who fucking embezzled and took his Maserati off a cliff. I don't think he actually was a believer.
No.
I think maybe, we never talk about it. I'm not saying he was a child of Hermes. I'm just saying that maybe, the god of thieves maybe
he had a little charm streak. I don't know. We'll see.
Something was going on. But yeah, that's my theory. Speaking of that, DJ, and I was actually going to say this till much later, but this is a perfect segue. Have you heard the theory that Jason Grace goes to Valhalla?
I have, but I don't know what his tie would be.
I don't know either. The argument is he died a hero with a weapon in his hand. But that's not enough. The other thing I think that people use to support it is that one of these chapters, mentioned the chapter title earlier, is I pass out more than Jason Grace. I have no idea who that is. So the question is, and we know the story is being told by Magnus, and it's being told after all these events have taken place.
But it's not being told after fucking...
But the last book takes place after the end of Trials of Apollo.
But it was my understanding that every book is told...
In between. It could be.
Yeah, that's my understanding.
But we don't actually know that.
I like the theory, but I do need concrete evidence. I cannot get my hopes up for that.
No, same. Because I've heard the theory before, and I was like, that doesn't make sense. He has obviously he doesn't
have a tie, but he goes to Elysium.
He got fast tracked to Elysium. Let's not fuck around here. Also, that dream Apollo has, that was Jason. I don't know why everyone's insisting it's not Jason. It's just Apollo in the subconscious. No, it had information Apollo didn't have, and he was described the way you describe a shade in like the fucking Odyssey. Yeah, it's supposed to be Jason. Not with this episode.
People are saying that's not Jason?
So many times when I've heard other people talk about it, they're like, oh, I thought it was, but it's not. It doesn't make sense for it.
It's Jason.
It's Jason. It's supposed to be. It's Patroclus talking to Achilles, and he had Patroclus's death.
Yeah.
It's Jason. So that's the thing. And I was like, okay, the weapon in the dying a hero isn't enough. And then I got to that chapter where I was like, right, how does he know who Jason Grace is?
But he doesn't. He literally says, but I don't know who that is.
Right, but like...
He literally says, I don't know who that is.
No, but like you do. Like we just said, this story takes place... It's not taking place in the moment. Magnus is telling it after the fact. The book ends...
Dude, sometimes it feels like... They recount the chapters chapter by chapter.
Right? Like sometimes
with like in Trials of Apollo, it's like this dude
really feels like it's in the moment. When is it happening? And
it's like an hour after. Now he's journaling it.
Yeah. I feel like Trials of Apollo, it very much feels like it's not taking place at the end because there's too much uncertainty in Apollo at the beginning.
Yeah.
And that one is like he changes too much as a person. Not what this is, but actually I would be really interested. We've talked about the books in this one. I would be really interested to know, like, listeners, like, what do you think? When do you think our protagonist is telling the story?
Yes.
But we know it's after the end of at least the events of this book.
Yes.
And at the end of this book, the chapter is called I Lose a Bet.
Oh, so good.
It ends with Annabeth saying, him being like, oh man, I had some weird stuff. And Annabeth being like, I've been through weird. He's like, yeah, not as weird as this.
You want to bet?
Sure. Why don't you go first?
So good,
we know she's just told him
about blood.
About all of her stuff.
Heroes.
Which means he knows who Jason Grace is.
Yeah. And I don't think...
And I think that...
They don't know Jason's died yet, though.
No, he hasn't, because Jason hasn't died yet.
Right, yeah.
So...
No, he has.
No, he hasn't.
Oh, and at the end of that book, right. But at the end of the series,
At the end of the series, he has, yes. So I think people are misunderstanding how Magnus knows who Jason Grace is. I think they're assuming he knows who he is because he dies at the end and he must have gone to Valhalla, when it's actually because Annabeth tells him who he is at the end of this book.
Yeah.
So...
Yeah, Annabeth was recounting. Yeah, he passed out like 7 times.
So many times. It became a personality trait, which is like a big bummer. And
well, it's because it's like he's one of those like, wow, we've written a very strong protagonist. We kind of have to knock him out every now and again.
Yeah, things get real. Punch out. So that's the thing. Yeah, I don't think. No, Jason got fast tracked to Valhalla. Like, what are we talking about?
Jason got fast tracked to
Our boy is living a life, or enjoying his death.
Yeah.
Not per Magnus. Magnus gets to stay no matter what. Like, once they're there. Like, he's not going to get kicked out.
But Samira does get her Valkyrie hood revoked.
Yeah, because it's reframed to one. It takes away all the heroic angles of like everyone in danger and Magnus staying behind.
It just shows him getting hit by the lava thing.
Blitz and Hearthstone looking ridiculous.
Yeah, looking really goofy. And then them just falling off.
Yeah, falling off. Not Magnus pulling the giant off. Them just falling off, and the zoom up, Magnus doesn't have the sword in his hand anymore.
Yeah.
And they're like, okay, well, there have been times where someone didn't, and Samira like argues, like, there have been moments when like they didn't, in the moment of death, they didn't have a weapon, but they did have a weapon moments before. That shouldn't not count. And they're like, yeah, but everything else about this is kind of some nonsense. So she gets kicked out.
Yep.
And she's like, something is up. Like, things are going really weird, because she was told to get him.
Because it's also right before Samira goes away, the Norns show up.
Oh, the Norns show up. So they
show up and drop a prophecy. Like a prophecy that hasn't been said yet.
So because the way we're finding out that these other people are like children of whomever, or what their like fates will be. Oh, they also find out their fates in Ragnarok, I think.
Yeah.
So yeah, everyone has a script.
Odin's not there. Every time it's like...
They throw some rune stones and read the rune stones, and that's how they find out if you're a child of like whomever or what your fate will be.
Yeah.
The Norns show up for Magnus and deliver us a prophecy.
Yeah, who'd think that we were going to get a prophecy in a Viking book?
Yeah, so
not me.
Yep, they throw, and that's how we find out specifically who his father is. They throw up the rune of Frey. Frehu.
who is also it's also the rune that Magnus pocketed earlier.
Yeah. No, the one he pocketed earlier was the cup.
No. He's given the cup by Hearth.
Oh, Hearth gives him the cup.
He's like, this represents me, but he snagged the rune.
It's the same symbol I picked from the pouch in Uncle Randall's office. Thank you, DJ. Yep. And so this prophecy. Wrongly chosen, wrongly slain. A hero Valhalla cannot contain. 9 days hence the sun must go east, ere the sword of summer unbinds the beast.
Here's the thing. That's a pretty straightforward ass prophecy. That's a real straightforward prophecy.
But everyone's message because they're like, oh, they're saying like wrongly chosen. They're like, oh, it's Sam. She was wrong to choose him. We got to kick her out.
And it's like that's the only confusing part, maybe because I don't whatever. But it's like this 9 days hence the sun must go east, ere the sword of summer
unbinds the
beast. I feel like if you understand how Ragnarok starts, yeah, you need to go to the fucking island and stop the Sword of Summer from cutting Fenrir free.
Yeah, because that's how we learned that the Sword of Summer will be used by Surt to cut Fenrir the wolf free.
Yeah.
That's a big piece of it. That's when Sam mentions that. She's like, no, you couldn't have been a mistake. I was told, I was promised. Someone told you to pick me?
Yeah.
It's Odin, by the way.
We find out later it's Odin. Yeah. It's absolutely setting up to be like, oh, she's a child of Loki working with Loki. No, she's not.
No, she's not. It's just everyone's so hyper, like, and
it's also because later we find
it's Gunilla.
Later we find out that Gunilla had fallen for a son of Loki who happened to be working for Loki
and betrayed
a lot of people. So they're already on edge about they're already on edge about children of Loki. So
They're like ready. They've been looking for a reason. So Gunilla set her up to get her kicked out.
Yeah.
Because she also believes this is the right thing to do. When she talks and she shows Magnus Asgard from a distance, and it's empty. And so he's like, why do you not want Ragnarok to start? Like, that doesn't make sense. Isn't this what you're all waiting for? It's like, yeah, but
we also like what's going on now.
But specifically, she's like, I don't want us to start a war that we're not going to be able to win yet. And 2 years ago, Asgard went silent and Odin disappeared, and that's just not.
It's not normal.
We're not. Ragnarok can't start now because we will fail and everything will.
Yeah.
But it's also wild because if they know what's going to happen, why does it matter? But I think that's so interesting because they're still people. They're still people, and even though they have a belief that this is what's going to happen, they still are afraid.
Yeah.
And they're still going to fight against it and try to manipulate it and do it on their own terms. Magnus gets a Captain America upgrade. Now, not a full one, but he does.
He does compare it to Captain America.
Yeah, he does
Steve
mention
Rogers.
He's like, I had asthma.
Yeah.
I was a scrawny 16-year-old malnourished
homeless child, and now I'm just shredded.
Yes. He's like, it's not
Can
quite
flip
Captain
a couch
America,
with ease.
I'm very strong now. Find out that the favorite pastime of the Inhari.
Yep.
They just kill each other.
Here you are.
They go to the battlefield and just...
Yeah, they have a daily
training.
battle, and it's just they go all out.
And if you die, it's fine. You just wake up back in your room.
Yeah, you wake up wherever. You just kind of... Because I don't think he was back in his room the first time he died, because there were people around him.
I don't remember.
I think he was in an infirmary or some shit. I don't remember. Maybe it is back in the room.
I was standing in a pavilion ringed with gray stone columns. Outside was nothing but empty sky. The air was...
Yeah, I don't think that's his room.
Oh, he's in oh no, this is a dream. I'm sorry.
Okay.
This is so Loki keeps talking to him.
Yeah,
Loki's our big bad. Were we surprised here? No.
Loki's trying to convince him that he's not the big bad, but he is the big bad because it's Loki, Norse mythology.
Yeah. My eyes flew open. I bolted upright, gasping for air. I was in my bed in my hotel room.
Okay.
So
you just respawn.
You just respawn, yeah. It's actually, but only if you're in Valhalla.
Yeah.
You can leave, and if you die anywhere else, you're done.
Yeah, you're dead.
Where do you go?
Helheim.
Maybe.
Yeah.
It's unclear. They never really mentioned that. But
I imagine.
so Magnus is like, okay, but I do love Magnus. They are all so convinced that Magnus is going to get wrecked right from the jump. And everyone on the battlefield's targeting him because he had this big showy entrance. So they kind of want to just take
Norn
him out.
showed up.
Yeah. And so everyone else in his party gets killed.
Just whomped pretty quick.
But at one point in time, we do see the piece of Frey, which is this thing he can do where it just disarms everyone around him.
Yeah, it's very similar to Grover's Panic.
Yeah. Yeah, it is. that like, and it's pretty cool. I do like this. And he does get axed because
yeah, he gets like, oh man, that's a piece of Frey. That's interesting. Oh, I haven't seen Elfheim magic in a while, and then he just axe gets split.
Yeah,
in his
literally
skull.
axed. Hearth and Blitz show back up. How are we doing this? This problem is this book is so much longer than the Percy Jackson book.
There's a lot
How
that
are
actually
we
happened
gonna do
in
beat
this
for
book.
beat? What are we doing here?
Hearth and Blitz show back up.
I'm so happy. And Hearth or Blitz, high fashion, peak fashion.
Yeah,
this dwarf is a fucking fashion icon. He wants to be a fashion designer. He wants to own his own shop.
Yep.
Haberdashery.
Son of Freya.
Yeah. Yes. So they're cousins, but he's like, no, we don't really think of it that way. And I'm like, oh, but like your cousins.
But your cousins. Come on.
And because he's a dark elf, because the dark elves are children of Freya.
No, all of the dwarves are dark elves. They're just called dark elves.
No, there's different kinds of dwarves.
And there?
Yeah.
I don't remember. Fuck.
Yes. Because he's taller. There are dwarves who could not pass for human because they are so dwarf.
Okay.
They are so fantasy dwarf. And so, and I love Blitz being like, we looked, do you know 2 years? 2 years living on the streets? 2 years without a decent,
hard, dude.
Decent pocket square?
It sucked.
And yeah, just Hearth rolls up and they're just like,
Hearth can use rune magic.
Yes,
Fun
he's
fact.
one of the only like living mortals who can do this.
Yeah.
It's just been lost. Like, yeah, but you're an elf. Don't they do magic? Yeah, no, it's not Lord of the Rings Fantasyland over here.
No,
it's basically the modern era.
Yeah.
Where they think like
funny.
they think humans are
Hey,
just fairy
you guys
tales.
ever seen Onward?
It's Onward.
It's
Hearth
Onward.
is living in Onward.
Earth is just living in Onward.
He's
It's very rough.
Hearth is rolling up with tragic backstory TM. We think Magnus has had some hard times.
Oh, dude.
Hearthstone, my boy. So sad.
They get the other people on floor 19 to bust them out.
Yeah, because Magnus is like, I gotta go check some shit out. I feel like I gotta go get that sword back.
Yep, they managed to get out.
Mm-hmm. Floor 19's like, yeah, man, we got your back.
Let's run it. Garbage disposal unit. I don't know.
Yeah, they just shove them out down the trash compactor, basically. And then we don't see the team from floor 19 for the rest of the book, basically.
No.
That's fine. I do recall this is just what happens in the first and second books. As they're there in the beginning, they're gone. They're there at the end.
Yeah.
It's fine. They make enough of an impact that when they show back up, I'm always happy to see them.
They're just fun. They're just
But
fun
they're
characters.
Not even our supporting cast of characters.
No, they're like D-list characters.
They're like D-list characters, and that's fine.
Yeah.
And we bop out, and who do we run in? Well, first we run into Annabeth.
Yep, we go to Magnus's wake.
Yep, because they think
Annabeth
the sword
is there.
may be with his body, because
Yep.
magical objects do that. Hello, Riptide.
Yep.
Good to see you here. And so
It's not, but
It's not
talks to
Riptide.
Annabeth like it's
She's like,
complicated.
"I knew you
I'll talk
weren't
to you
dead."
later.
And I know I love that he feels like it's dangerous to tell her. He wants to tell her. He knows he can trust her, but something about it feels dangerous.
Yeah.
And Annabeth also understands because we know it's Annabeth.
Yeah,
so
she
we
like
know what
realizes,
she
oh,
thinks.
you're dealing with monsters. Yeah, I can help you with that.
Yeah, I
but
can help. I can take you somewhere safe. And he's like,
That
and
sends
something
off
in his head
alarms.
is screaming, don't do that, don't do that. He's like, no, you don't understand. It wouldn't be safe. I don't know why. But they never, so none of them say it. But at one point, he's like, I have to do this. You can't help me. I have to do it alone. And she says, like a quest.
That's
And that,
one way to
for
put it.
her, has so much meaning. A
Yeah.
quest is the weight of that word. It means 1,000 things. And Magnus is
Yeah,
like,
because she just
like
went
a
through
quest, like a
heroes.
quest. Yeah. And Magnus is over here like, sure, like a quest.
Absolutely.
So she's like, but you owe me, call me. She gives him his phone number, like, call me later, you will. And yeah, I like that. Anyways, we find Sam. She's trying to find the sword too, because
Yep.
she knows that she like,
There's
I
been
got
some
set
hokey
up.
shit.
There's been some hokey shit, and I'm not allowed to let Ragnarok happen on my watch.
Nope. We have
We have a handful of side quests,
yeah.
which I don't dislike. There are some books where I'm like, I feel like we just did a bunch of side quests, and we could have just not. I loved all of them.
Yeah,
think
so they
everyone was
go
very
just a real quick rundown. We're not going to expand on anything that I'm about to say, Darien.
But what if you say something I really want to talk about?
We're not going to expand on
No. How many things do you think you're going to say? Roughly between 3 and 7. Do you think? Yeah, no, we haven't recorded for almost an hour. You're right. Okay, quick events.
All right, so we got after Annabeth, they stop to get falafel. The falafel place is owned by Samira's fiance, Amir. We love him.
Well,
He's
his
great.
dad.
His dad, but
Amir
is
is
like a manager.
Amir's like, yeah, he works there. I love Amir. He's a good boy.
He's great. He's wonderful.
His family is so nice to Magnus. They have always given him like food.
They've
that
always
can't
loved him.
sell.
They
like
know
to
him
take
as
care of
Jimmy.
because Magnus doesn't tell anybody his real name because he's been
Yep.
homeless.
Yeah.
I promise I'd be quiet. I just
Yeah,
really
well,
like
it's
Amir. And
fine.
I wanted to mention that.
And then like a talking eagle comes down takes their falafel
Fucking jackass.
and takes Magnus for a quick ride and forces him to do a quest. They go... Another quest within a quest. It's so much fun. They go to the place that the eagle had told them about, which was like a fishing company.
Fishing!
Because the Sword of Summer is actually in the net of the crazy sea god. I don't remember her name. Starts with an R, I think. I want to say like Rem, something like that.
She's the goddess of nets.
Yeah, goddess of nets. She's salty because Loki stole her net design.
Loki's done that a lot. We will get to that. Loki's done that shit a lot.
Yep. So when they go fishing, he brings this big old boar head. They fish up Jormungandr.
The fucking world serpent.
And he's starting to cause so much commotion on the sea floor that I think it's Rem.
Yeah, her name's...
It's one syllable, short, Norse, net.
Ran.
God, Ran.
Yeah. She comes up.
Ran,
She's like, what is this shit?
Ran comes up, is like, stop what you're doing. And then Magnus barters with her to get a Sword of Summer and a golden apple, which is what the eagle wanted. He goes back, presents the apple. He's like, great. Come to find out, the eagle is actually a giant.
Mm-hmm. Uther Loki.
Yeah.
Not the same guy.
Not the same Loki.
Not that one.
No. But Loki is a very common name in Jotunheim.
Yeah, we're about to be running through everyone. Everyone's named Jimmy.
Yeah. Yeah, everyone's got the name like John,
You know how all those boys were named Jason and all the girls were named Brittany? They're all named Loki.
Yep.
Vanir.
Right. So then we have to make a quick pit stop to go talk to Freya.
Mm-hmm.
Or no, they are started to be chased by... Oh, God.
Sheep. Oh,
Ganilla.
She shows up with her Valkyries.
She shows up. They start chasing her. They go to the...
World Tree.
The duck statue that turns into the World Tree.
Mm-hmm.
Because that's just where it is.
Mm-hmm.
They end up in Vanir.
Hearth and Samira get separated.
Yep.
Well, they're together. Samira's she's a hijabi, so her hijab actually is camouflage. So she's Hearth is stuck, so she's able to camouflage them as and Magnus and Blitz keep going ahead.
Yep, they end up in Vanir. They go talk to Freya. This is where we find out that Blitz is Freya's son, and complicated and problematic things with Freya and the dwarves.
Yeah. She really likes jewelry. They make it really well. They have specific costs. But also, if she's like...
Who cares?
If she's over here like, yeah, that seems like a fair cost.
That's worth it. Who cares?
Jewelry, sure. But Blitz describes himself as, he's like, if not her kid, I'm a receipt.
Yeah.
And like...
Ooh, sad.
So...
But Blitz is great.
Freya also mentions that she feels like Magnus should have come to her. Because they're in like hippie wonderland.
So technically, yes. Magnus should have gone to Vanir because he is... What's the name that he's called? He's not
Asgardian.
He's not Asgardian because he's not a son of a war god or like one of the Asgardians. He's a son of a Vanir.
Because there are different
there are
families of
three
gods,
factions.
and they eventually came together, and so half go to Valhalla and half go to Freya.
Yeah, there are three factions. There's the Giants, the Asgardians, and the
Air?
Yeah, the Air. And yeah, he was supposed to go to Vanir, but he got dragged away by Samira last second. Mm-hmm. Whatever, doesn't matter. He's an Einherji now.
Yeah. So it bounce over to where the dwarfs hang out.
What's the name of the dwarf place?
Vanaheim?
Yeah, sounds about right.
No, Vanaheim is where the Vanir gods Valhalla.
Vanaheim.
They need to go to Nidavellir?
Yep, Nidavellir.
Yeah, that's where that's where they were trying to go.
They go there and they meet back up with Hearth and Samira, who we get to find out. Yeah, that's when we find out the camouflage. Whatever. Mm-hmm. It's great. It's wonderful.
In order to, we need rope. Because they need to know how to get to the island where...
Oh, yeah. They need to know how to get to the islands, and they need...
a new rope.
Yeah, probably a new rope, because the old rope is wearing down and loosening, which is like why Fenrir is actually able to manipulate the world outside of his island, because he managed to get it off his own like muzzle and is whispering secrets untold.
Yeah, and so this is actually, we get Blitz's tragic backstory is that his dad believed that the rope was loosening. And actually the guy whose family created it like smeared his name and said he was lying, and he was
Yeah, and turns out they were lying about going to visit it every.
Yeah, they're like, we go check it. They never did. Anyway, Blitz's dad dies going to check it out. That's a real bummer.
Hate to see it.
Hate to see it. So, but Blitz has to do a crafting competition, not crafts, weapon making competition.
Nope. It's it's just
it is crafting.
It's technically crafting because he doesn't make any weapon.
That's
true. He doesn't make any weapons.
But they have to be. He's great at making clothes. He's not great at crafting.
No, he's great at crafting. He panics.
Yeah.
He panics and only makes ducks when he's under high stress situations. And so the first round he does make a duck, but it's
not a great duck either.
It's a duck that enlarges, and his
opponent, who's the best crafter who's ever lived.
Yep,
and is a fucking asshole.
Fucks up his thing and smashes it
because he got bit by a horsefly.
Yes, and so the next round, in between rounds, they get a little brief halftime. They talk. Magnus brings up, "Hey, why not just make like stylish armor?"
Yeah, why not make
and Blitz is like, "What?" Just the galaxy just exploding in his mind.
Like when I was a kid reading, I guess not a kid. I came out in 2015, so I was like in my 20s. When I read it the first time, I was like, Blitz, why didn't you think of that earlier? That's so you're so stupid. Now I'm over here at like fucking 12 days till 30. Woof. By the time you're listening to this, dear listener, my birthday was yesterday.
There you go.
30 when you're hearing this. Now that I think where I'm at 29 to where I was at 20, he's like, of course Blitz didn't think of that. He's under a lot of pressure. He's only 20 years old. He doesn't know yet.
Yeah, he's figuring it out.
So he makes a tie.
He makes a bulletproof tie, which is just a tie made of chainmail, and I bet it looked really good.
Yeah, but they're all a little bit weird. And then the other guy damaged what he was making again because I got bit by a horsefly.
Yep. And then the third round, he makes a sweet little chainmail like vest that would go underneath a blazer, you know, that kind of vest.
Look at that. This one is like, they're actually pretty impressed by this
like,
one.
Oh,
There's some people in the audience that are like, ooh, can I buy one of those?
It's kind of like nifty.
Yeah.
Hey. And then
the guy
busts on other shit. So
Blitz wins.
Blitz wins by default.
Also, the stakes were high. That guy was going to kill Blitz.
Yeah, that guy was going to take Blitz's head because that's the traditional wager.
And most people don't do that anymore because that's ridiculous. But this guy's old school.
Yeah,
also a dick.
Yeah, and they just wanted a pair of earrings crafted and the rope.
And also him to admit that he was lying about his dad and his father was right the whole time.
Yep. Come to find out, yeah, and you know, all that happened, but then they saw that Samira had which I understand. Here's the thing. I understand why Samira did not remove her hijabi. However, it being bright green.
It's like a sage green, but yeah.
It's like green like your shirt.
This is not sage green.
That's green. It's anytime I think of Loki green, that's the green.
You know who we have to blame for that? Marvel.
Yeah, probably. But it's like she wears it and it is a defining feature when she transforms, which we find out she can shapeshift.
Yeah, but she's a child of Loki. They can shapeshift.
Yeah, so and it's a defining feature when she does, right? Yeah. And it's her wings.
It's just that she wasn't a horsefly wearing a hijab.
No, but the horsefly wings were green.
As the hijab, yeah.
Like, I understand why she didn't take it off. However,
at the very least, maybe a less iconic color, Sam.
Maybe if you don't like your dad that much, why his color?
Because I don't think it is Loki green.
But Alex is wearing the similar green. Has similar green hair.
But I don't think it's this because Alex has neon green and Sam does like forest, like hunter green. It's still green. You know what? We will. That's something we should really think about as we go forward. As we read the other books, let's really think about whether Loki is associated with green. Because honestly,
I think Loki is associated with poison often, and poison is associated with green, which is why we.
That's a good point. But the poison of Loki is the thing that is constantly torturing him.
Yeah.
So for his children who reject Loki to be wearing the green of the poison that tortures him feels like it's saying something.
The only time I actually haven't seen Loki in default green was actually Smite. He's in default blue, but his recolor is green. Anyway.
But yeah, we find out that the way Sam and Hearth actually got away in the tree was that she did shapeshift, and that wasn't something she was necessarily willing to do at first.
I bet the antlers on whatever she shaped, I can't remember what it was. I think it was a stag.
Yeah.
I bet the antlers were green.
Probably. And so that's pretty cool. but she doesn't like doing it because it's a very low-key skill, and it makes her feel like he's controlling her and he has more of a grip on her, and she does not like it. Which, totally fair. But she does it to help save Blitz.
Yes.
And that's great. And then our next side quest.
We
skipped ahead.
Right. Come to find out, they're working for Blitz and Hearth are working for Mimir. Mimir has...
He's just ahead.
He's just ahead. God. He's got knowledge of what's to come, and Magnus is important. Blah de da.
That's why
they know what they have to do.
Yeah. So get the earrings. We lose Blitz because his mom is like, "I want my earrings, son.
I need those."
And so now we are in Jotunheim.
I thought Blitz was with them in Jotunheim.
Blitz shows back up when they're in Jotunheim.
Okay. I think you're right. I think Blitz does show up.
We wake up in Jotunheim with side quest from Thor, who's lost his hammer again.
Crazy.
This happens a lot.
Yeah, Thor loses his hammer because people take it because I guess it's important for Ragnarok to start.
That's the thing. They like to do it because it's funny.
They just kind of fuck with Thor.
Yeah. There's a giant.
Yep, there's a giant that's keeping Thor. They kill the giant.
Oh, Magnus can talk to his sword.
Yeah, Sword starts talking now all of a sudden. He's Jack. His name is Jack. Well, his name is Sumer Brander, but he doesn't like that name because it's the name that Frey gave him. And he's like,
Frey gave him away.
Fuck that guy. Frey gave me away. So my name's Jack now. I like it because Jack is Jack of all trades.
Well, first he says his name was like, my name's Magnus. That's a great name. I want that name. No,
I like Magnus. Samira, that's a great name. I'm Samira now. I was like, no.
Can't have that one either. I was like, I don't know Jack. Oh, Jack's a great name.
Jack's a wonderful name.
So funny when you're about to swear and then your magical talking sword thinks Jack is a great name. It's so good. Because Magnus, because the sword Magnus can't fight, but the sword just does things by itself. And so when he's working with Blitz and thinking about like every item they make has a name and they like thank it for its efforts and stuff, he starts doing that with the sword and he starts feeling like he's getting stuff back.
Yeah. Because the sword is in fact alive.
Because the sword is sentient and can communicate magically. And so it does, and it can do magic things. It can deflect things. It can fly off on its own. The thing about that is it will cost the strength as if Magnus had done it himself.
Yes.
So going up the giantess's nose to...
Climbing a fucking 2,000-foot tall giantess to scramble its brains.
Listen, she was drowning Thor. It had to be done.
It had to be done.
The villains. It's fine.
Yep, so they go... Thor's like, my weapon, I'm not going to say which one is missing, and if you could inquire about it without saying what it is, because it's not my weapon, go find it. There's a place that has a weapon that they say is mine, but I don't know if it's mine because we're not talking about what weapon I have lost. And he's also bummed out because he can't watch his shows.
Oh, yeah. Thor loves Game of Thrones. He loves his sitcoms. He loves his television.
Can't say that I blame him, honestly.
Mjolnir gets great service in all 9 realms.
Yeah. So they go to the
giant house, the house of the giants.
Yep.
Hearth busts out a runestone.
Yep.
Summons a horse with many legs.
Yep. Summons a child of Sleipnir.
The horse.
Yep. Odin's horse. Odin's steed. They name it Stanley.
And they hightail it. And they find, look, who's been imprisoned? It's Gunilla. She is
currently
a swan.
A swan trapped in this place. And they go and fuck with these giant girls.
Oh, they do the hospitality thing is a big deal.
Yeah. It's like we claim guest rights. They try to kill them by doing tasks of, the giants try to kill
by being overly hospitable.
It's like, let me raise your chair. And they try to slam it in the ceiling, but it's not a stool. It's got a back. It doesn't work. They, and other things that I can't quite remember, but they managed to get out that the giants were actually trying to kill the people so that they could kill the giants. They end up doing that.
And I love that Jack is so specific on the words. He's so like,
Hey, is it like against guest rights to tell them that I killed their sister? Like, no, that happened before you claimed guest rights. Like,
yeah, that's fine. Yeah. And so that's funny. And then their dad rolls up.
He plays hot potato.
Yeah.
He plays catch. But
let's play catch.
Like, you're supposed to throw the hot coals back, but they're scalding hot coals.
So they do some tricky stuff to get him upset. So he throws the coals all over the place and the whole building collapses on top of him.
Yep.
They free Gunilla, but she's going to try to take him back. So apparently all the Valkyries have like this...
A bracer
that'll just like transport them back to...
which, like, I understand.
I love it. Back to...
Valhalla.
Thank you. Valhalla in an emergency situation. Totally. And so Samira is able to activate Ganella's place to get rid of her.
Gets rid of her. They find out that it's not actually Mjolnir. It's a staff that I don't remember the name of.
You know what? It's fine. We're going to move past it. So they get the staff.
The staff
Blitz
has
is back. Don't
has
worry
a
about
tiny screen. Yeah, Blitz has been here for a bit. I don't remember when he specifically came in. I think before they rode the horse. He has a parachute, which I always really loved.
I love Blitz.
They give the staff to Thor. He's like, this will be good for a while, but I will have to get my hammer back eventually. But thank you guys. So they go off. I'm going to be real with you, Darien. I didn't listen to the last hour and a half of this book.
What? You had so much time!
I just...
Okay.
But the reason I didn't is because for the most part, I remember the major beats, right? After this...
Did you just volunteer to speedrun us through the book and then be like, and by the way, I didn't listen to the end?
I didn't listen to the end. But what I remember is they get to the island. I don't remember the specifics of to that point, right?
It doesn't really matter. We don't need to...
They get to the island.
Really everyone's decked out in their finery now. I love it.
Everyone's looking clean as hell.
Mm-hmm.
They roll up to the island of Fenrir, but Surt's also there because he's,
wanting to free Fenrir to start Ragnarok.
Yep. And so Jack is trying to go to Surt because it's like, oh, it's my destiny, it's my fate. I end up in his hands anyway, so why not do it now? But Magnus is like, why do you have to do it now? Just do it later, dude. Don't even worry about it. He's like, fuck, you're right. And then they end up tying Fenrir up again.
Instead of using the blade to free Fenrir, they use the blade to tie him up because none of them can get close enough because Fenrir will bite their head off.
Yep.
So Magnus ties the rope to Jack and just throws him, and he just whoops. And that's a thing about these books and Magnus that I love so much is how often he just does not do the thing you would expect a hero to do with his resources, right? Like using the sword to tie up the beast again is very good. I wanted to go back real quick. So Fenrir is a wolf, obviously, but he's also a very smooth talker, and he's really good at getting people
because he is a child of Loki.
He's also a child of Loki. So when they first show up, he's really getting oh, Magnus, I sent my sons to you. I wasn't trying to kill you that night. I was trying to kill your mother because I knew that would make it easier for me to get to you. And he talks shit to Blitz and he talks shit to Sam and they're all fucking ready to charge at the wolf. They're about to leave. Heather is the thing that keeps him back and they're about to run and attack and the only reason they don't is because Hearth stops them.
You can't hear.
Because Hearth cannot hear. But the wolf's not doing sign language, so it's...
the wolf is bound like a hog.
Yeah,
so. Can't do sign language if he wanted to.
Yeah, so Hearth is able to get them out of... Because it's almost like magic, this goading strike that Fenrir is doing to them. And so I wanted to shout out that because I loved that so much, is Hearth being able to be like, no, what are you doing? And they're like, oh shit, if Hearth wasn't here, we would have died just now. And then they tie him up, there's still a battle raging. The Valkyries show up, and everyone from Floor 19 shows up. But our crew from Floor 19 is like, nah, we trust Magnus. So they have his back during the fight.
Which arguably they shouldn't.
No, they trust Magnus. No, sometimes you just follow your gut. And they don't believe that Magnus is trying to start Ragnarok. They trust Magnus. Yeah. And also, Sam's the one that brought X to them.
True.
So they probably trust her, too.
Yeah, it's we like X. X has been, super cool.
Yeah, so the first they're trying to avoid the Valkyries, but then when Surt and stuff shows up and Gunilla sees it, then she leads her forces to let Magnus and them try to chain up Fenrir and then fight. Gunilla dies.
Yeah, she does.
Surt kills her.
Very sad.
Yeah, that was really sad. I don't like Gunilla, but
she didn't deserve that.
Yeah, I think Rick Riordan did a very strong job writing a character who's what she did to Sam was wrong, and she did.
But you don't really hate her for it because you can understand her reasoning.
Yeah, it doesn't make her reasoning right, and it still makes her wrong for just making these assumptions about Sam and not just. But it made her a very interesting character. I think she was a very complex character.
Yeah,
and I liked that. It shows that people because you would say she was a good person, and it demonstrates that someone who could define as a good person can still have prejudiced, unkind beliefs and do unkind, unjust things to someone who they don't trust for not well-rounded reasons, not grounded reasons. So she died. And Magnus wins by once again doing that piece of Frey thing. It was really good.
It's very good.
And and then they go home.
They go home, it's revealed that X is Odin, and
This whole
Odin
time?
is like those stereotypical motivational speakers that you see on TikTok that are just like wanting to modernize Valhalla. He's like, I got ideas, and you are all going to listen, as we said at the start of this.
Yep. He's like, I disguise myself as like this half troll to see how you would accept someone like him in your midst and see what improvements we could make.
And Floor 19 did a wonderful job. They were very hospitable to me. It's great.
Blitz and Hearth are freed from their service to Mimir. And Sam
is do what they want.
Yeah, they can do what they want. Sam is and Hearth is invited to Asgard to train with Odin specifically on how to use the runes.
Yeah, which is huge.
Blitz gets to go start his store. And he's already got a bunch of orders for the vest.
Great, dude.
Sam is reinstated as a Valkyrie, and she's actually given a choice between being the captain or continuing to do like super secret missions for Odin personally. And she chooses that, obviously, because she is living an animated children's superhero series from the early 2000s.
Yeah.
And Magnus actually gets the option to go back to life.
He's like, no.
Yeah,
I like it here.
Yeah, he's like, I think I'm going to stay here.
I feel like big things are going to happen. And big things happen.
Big things happen. Yeah, it's book 1. And then...
Doesn't he also get, like, just the ability to kind of travel to and from?
I don't know if that's necessarily, like... I don't think he gets that, but he just does it.
Because it's not allowed.
It's technically not allowed. But it's also one of the things where
they sneak off.
If
They're
you
not
don't
supposed
get
to.
caught,
Yeah, but I...
It's like not allowed, but it's one of the things that's not allowed because if they die not in Valhalla, then they don't come back. And that's why probably they don't want their inheritance just running off and potentially dying and losing their battle forces.
Dude...
But also, like, most of them have no
the
reason
Hotel
to leave.
Valhalla pizza is certainly not good as, like, Tony's down the road.
Exactly. But that's the thing is, like, most of the folks at Valhalla, like, probably don't have a lot to go back to. Or, like, they can't
don't
go
have
back
anything to go after.
Yeah, or a lot of them who just died recently, you can't go back to your families and hurt and, like, that hurt. But Magnus
has a special case with his family.
Magnus actually, unfortunately, can. So that's how we get him reconnecting with Annabeth and then telling each other what's up. We don't see that conversation, which bums me out.
I would love to see that conversation.
But I do appreciate that title being called I Lose a Bet.
So good.
And I think that's great.
Because as weird as Magnus Chase had it in this book, nothing compares to anything that...
Annabeth Chase's life. Can we talk about the Chases?
Nothing compares to Tartarus.
Oh, Tartarus. That's right. Tartarus. We met... Hel at one point in time. She was trying to convince Magnus to give up the sword, and
that must have been in between.
Yeah. In between, there's a lot
Jotunheim.
It's like in between different of the quests. Suddenly, we're like Loki dream, God talking to this, like little things are in between.
Yeah.
And that was interesting. It's like maybe his mother is there in Helheim. Maybe she's
Did he
not.
meet his dad in this book?
He does meet his dad at the end of the book. That's right.
Yeah.
He meets Frey at the end.
I vaguely remember that.
Yeah, he does meet Frey after they're going back, and he gets to talk to Frey. I like that Magnus just hugs him.
It's nice.
He's like, that's my dad. And he's like, he talks to me. He's like, I never worried about where my dad was. Like, other people had dads, but it didn't matter. Like, I had my mom, and we were like good.
Oh, she was great.
But he talks about how like she would take him out into like the wilderness in the summertime and camping, and like you can feel him all around us. And he does like, yeah, I feel that when I'm with him, and I like that. And Magnus is also like, I'm dead. What's the point of holding like this? Like, where were you? I'm just gonna hug my dad.
Who fucking
like,
cares?
I don't got any of that baggage anymore. I'm dead. I don't need it. And I like that for Magnus.
What's the point of holding on baggage? I'm gonna be alive or dead alive for thousands of years, probably.
Maybe. Or 6 or 9 months. We don't know what's going to happen.
We don't know, but like I'm going to try my
really
best to live to
Ragnarok.
not start Ragnarok as much as possible. It's going to be great.
But it ends with a very unsettling epilogue.
Yeah.
With Uncle Randolph, who has been trying to get Magnus and trying to find him the whole time. And he talks about like the funeral, and he cried, but none of his tears were for young Magnus. And it's like maybe he knows that Magnus is in Valhalla now, maybe he doesn't. But we do know that Loki rolls up and is like, hey, you were supposed to get me the boy and the sword, and you didn't. So he punished him for that. He's like, no, but you're still going to help me out. I have lots of plans going. This isn't the only thing.
He punished him by splashing poison in his face.
He splashes some of the poison in his face.
I do remember that.
That's right.
The moment you mentioned Randolph in this scene, I'm like, yeah, I remember that.
And he shows him, he's like, you'll keep working with me because I have what you want. And Randolph sees his family.
Yeah.
His family died because he was going after trying to get the sword.
Yep.
And they drowned in a storm. And he was the only survivor, his wife and his daughters. And so Loki is basically claiming that he has their souls and can give them back to him. And now we see what Randolph's whole deal is. And that's
just tragic.
Listen, that's a very like heavy note to end on. Like for Rick Riordan, like folks have criticized the end of Mark of Athena for not ending on the chapter where Percy and Annabeth fall into Tartarus and just leaving it on that beat. And I will argue that he doesn't, because that's not the kind of book Rick
Mark
Riordan
is supposed to be.
It's what happened was like very like, oh, that's really upsetting, that's really scary. But these stories are hopeful. You hope you can overcome the worst. You hope you can come back from it. You if you always have hope, you can keep moving forward. So of course we need one more chapter from Leo's point of view.
Yeah.
So this scene ending with Loki and Uncle Randolph and these poor, and the thing about Loki is he's a god of lies. Like he might not be even telling the truth about what he has, but Uncle Randolph certainly believes him. And that ends us on a really scary note for especially us coming off of what we have read for the podcast, which was all the Percy Jackson books. No one ends like that.
No.
We don't end with
the craziest ending is Thalia.
Torturing Luke.
No, the craziest one was Thalia.
And that was like, what's going to happen next? That wasn't, hey, I'm unsettled.
Yeah.
None of this is criticism. All of this is just like, this is very interesting.
Yep.
So that's what's up. That's the Magnus Chase books. I like Magnus. I like Sam. I like Blitz. I like Hearthstone.
Big fan
I like
of everybody
419.
here.
I'm really jazzed. We got a lot of Loki kind of just talking.
Just kind of fucking with Magnus a little bit.
A lot of fucking with Magnus. A lot of just talking at him.
Yeah.
A lot of like trying to get him to make deals. But not a lot yet. Because the villain in this one really just felt like Cert. He was a physical threat.
The villain was like Cert and Fenrir, for sure.
Mm-hmm. Oh, and I will say like Ganilla is our antagonist.
Yeah.
But yeah. Oh, Magnus being terrified of wolves. Like, not just like, I don't like wolves, kill them all. He's phobic, afraid of wolves. And I thought that was so interesting to see. And
it's like, of course, I would have to get the fucking mythology and the religion that just wolves. They liked wolves. Like, yeah, Fenrir is a villain, but that doesn't mean that people didn't like wolves here.
I mean, they like wolves in the sense that they like the symbolic of power and might of a wolf.
Hey guys, wolves were a problem in Europe.
I was about to say, you want to tell us the France thing and the wolves?
I've said it enough times, but like Paris was sieged by wolves, by hundreds of wolves. And the leader of these wolves died in combat with the leader of like the captain of the guard for Paris, who also died in that combat.
Wolves are scary.
Wolves were a fucking problem.
I remember thinking Jack was really annoying when I first read these books.
I love Jack.
Jack's great. I think he's so funny. He's also so sweet too.
He's just charming. He's just a charming sword.
And he's so sad.
Yeah.
Because we find out like Frey gave him up because Freya went missing. He sat on Odin's throne to try to find her. Found
a giantess
he fell in love with. And he gave up his sword so he could be with her.
Yeah.
And so there's a couple times when Magnus is being asked, like, oh, give up your sword for what you want. And,
I don't want to do that to this guy. He's my buddy.
And Jack is like, hey, you wouldn't do that, right? We're
He's
friends.
got trauma.
Jack has trauma. This magic sword has trauma. Yeah. But I like Jack a lot. I think he's just, I like coming back to this as a grown-up and being like,
oh, Jack's great, dude.
Characters and just being like, oh, you're all so good. You're trying your best.
I always love
you
Jack
all so much.
Jack was so much fun.
Mm-hmm. DJ, what are you most excited to talk about this season? We didn't do this before, but I kind of
I'm just excited for the Norse stuff.
Look at this on the back of the book that tells you all the realms. This would have been helpful with us trying to remember where we were going.
Got all the realms and a lot of the runes, too, used throughout.
Yeah.
I'm just excited for it.
Okay, should we tell them now, maybe?
We love you guys so much.
You're the best.
You guys are so wonderful. They returned to us.
I'll admit I was a little worried that maybe folks wouldn't want to come back when we weren't talking about Percy anymore, or when we were talking about like something that's not Greek mythology. Like any kind of change can be like this wasn't the show I really fell in love with. I totally get it. And if you like, this isn't for me, like I'm not going to blame you. But like, we love you.
We're going bi-weekly again.
Hey, wasn't that fun?
It was so great.
So I had a great time.
Darren's writing a book.
I'm writing a book.
She needs to spend more time on her book.
But I'm for real writing.
She's writing a book. She's spending a lot of her time writing this book.
Before we started recording, I was writing, and like it's that's the sound of my notebook that I write in. It's literally within arm's reach.
I'm sure that she's got another notebook full of another chapter.
Actually, yeah. So that's in here.
That's her second notebook.
That's the second notebook. Here's the first one that's full. And this one actually I use when I want to just rough a chapter. I need to get into. So that's that notebook.
Yeah, she's writing a book.
There is what I use for there's my notebook. That's the original notebook that got full. And then this little one on top of it's what I use for when I need to sketch out character concepts and get over.
Yeah.
So.
Darren's writing a book. She's spending a lot of time writing a book.
If you follow my personal Instagram, you will have seen the posts I've made about updates to word count and stuff. This is it's not just
she's writing a novel.
Writing a book. It's a thing. I hope that in a year I can tell you go pre-order my book.
Yeah.
For real. And it's kind of all I want to do.
Yeah.
But this podcast is equally very important to me. Doing this with DJ and spending this time with my brother is important to me. Working on this is creatively fulfilling, and having this engagement with you, our listeners who've been around for so much, and I would hope have been really excited for us to get into this new phase. I wanted to be able to continue to deliver that level of quality, but also that consistency. And so going bi-weekly again will allow me to make sure that we can
stay consistent.
That I don't have to be I can't record because I can't stop writing. I want to do both, and sometimes it means not being able to do it all or as quickly.
Yeah.
But I hope that you still want to listen, you still want to hang out, and then maybe you want to read my book someday. I don't know,
And hey, if you guys got used to weekly content,
yes,
you better believe that we are still posting on our off weeks on our Patreon, patreon.com/Muses of Mythology. We post bonus episodes there.
Yeah, we actually, if you want to hear us talk about the Percy Jackson show, that's where you should go.
Yeah, that was January bonus episodes were that.
Yeah, we talked about
We do a lot
the show.
more stuff other than just standard bonus episode content.
If you want us to talk about Rick Riordan imprint books, the Riordan Presents books, yeah, we did Last Fallen Star was our one for January. It was our remake
Son of the
episode.
Star?
No, Last Fallen Star. We haven't done it yet, DJ, but by the time this comes out, we will have. That's Nicholas Miller, our God tier level patron. That was his request for the Remyth episode.
All right. I didn't know that was a Riordan Presents.
Yeah.
That's great.
So yeah, as you said, if you were I really liked having Muses every week, for $5 a month, you get the bonus episodes that come out every other week, and $8 gets you Remyth episodes.
Do we lower the price?
No.
Then it's $10. You said 8.
I did. That's because it's $8 to get Club 3 for.
Dan's getting a podcast mixed up. It's not.
Everything's confusing. No, but yeah. So that's what's up, and that is I will admit that is a temporary thing. It is until I reach a point where I feel like I will be able to balance those.
Essentially, until she starts editing her book.
We'll see. We'll see how much, because sometimes you think, yes, and now I'm editing, and then it turns out I'm just rewriting the whole damn thing. We'll find out what happens. But for the time being, a podcast will be back going bi-weekly, which means we will be back in your ears on Tuesday, February 20th, to talk about Valhalla.
Woo! Love to see it.
And until then, don't be like Zeus.
Don't be like Zeus.
And listen, I know you're going to be like, well, it's not Greek mythology anymore. But that advice still stands.
It stands in every mythology.
Muses of Mythology is created and hosted by Darien and DJ Smart. It's edited by Darien Smart. The show is produced by Darien and DJ Smart, as well as
Tim O'Connor, The Crystal Con Man, Nicholas Miller.
Our music is Athens Festival by Martin Hay. And our cover art is by Audrey Miller. You can find her on Instagram at bombshellnutshellart.
Want more Muses of Mythology? Support the show on Patreon. Just $1 gets you exclusive bonus content. Get more at patreon.com/Muses of Mythology.
You can also support the show by leaving a review at lovethepodcast.com/Muses of Mythology. Or tell a friend why you love the show.
Don't forget to check out all of our episodes and episode transcripts at musesofmythology.com.
Thanks for listening.